I want to talk a little bit about the element of surprise when using a knife defensively. I had some people who I respect very highly, but they're admitted not knife experts, and they're using smaller blades, and that's fine. I mean, most of us are using smaller blades. You know, how many people are carrying something like this everyday carry? We're not. Most people are carrying a folder of some kind, and even though this is quite a large folder, I mean, it's not in the same class as a field or fighting knife, regular full-size field or fighting knife. A lot of people are carrying even smaller stuff, you know, carrying something like this or little neck knife, and they're all perfectly usable, you know, perfectly valid choices. And especially, I mean, I'd rather have this that I'm going to carry every day versus this that gets too big and bulky, so I'll leave it at home. I mean, you know, just common sense. However, you can't pretend that something like this is going to do the same amount of damage. So a lot of people are counting on, again, element of surprise. Surprise is a force multiplier. If your opponent doesn't see what's coming, you can't respond to it. Right? The problem is getting him to respond to the damage you're doing. One of the problems with knives is they generally don't have a lot of shock. It's not like a bullet. It's not like a handgun. You fire a handgun, everybody knows it's been fired. And I've seen video of people that were actually missed. Somebody shot at them, missed them. They reacted exactly as if they'd been shot. I mean, you could see the bullet impact, only it wasn't. It was purely them reacting psychologically to what they thought had happened to them. You may not get that with a knife. As a flat matter of fact, a great many people who have been stabbed or slashed, even badly, even fatally, weren't necessarily aware that they were being stabbed. A good sharp knife, you may not even feel the damage that it's doing. A very common, people who have been stabbed in the back multiple times, very common is they thought somebody was hitting them. One police officer was being stabbed, and he said he thought the guy was tapping him to get his attention. And all of a sudden, next thing he knows, he can't breathe because he's got a hole in his lung. So the idea that you're going to be able to come up with something, you know, you've got it basically concealed, and you come up and you maybe slash the guy, he may not even be aware that he's been slashed. So unless you do some meaningful damage. So and again, it's a call you're going to have to make, because by the same token, if I warn the guy, I said, back off or I'll cut you, you know, maybe he'll respond okay and back off. Or he may very well say, oh yeah, or come on and, you know, bring out a gun or a bigger knife or whatever. I mean, you know, so this is something you may lose your opportunity to apply your knife if you warn the guy ahead of time. Now, it might be a good idea if you do start cutting him to quite literally announce, I am cutting you. You're bleeding. Something to get their attention so that they realize that they've been injured, and then maybe decide that they need to do something about that, like leave, get to a hospital, you know, plug the wound, whatever. But if you're going to rely on surprise, if you're going to not let the guy know you've got a knife, go ahead and start cutting on him. Just be aware that he may not react at all. He may not even be aware that you are cutting him. So you've got to make your cuts meaningful at that point, which means cutting muscle, cutting tendon. You can cut an artery and the guy may bleed out, but again, he may not at the time be aware that he's been cut, and he may keep doing whatever it is he's doing. So element of surprise, absolutely, where you can apply it, when you can apply it, but be aware, and especially, again, with a smaller knife, when you start cutting your opponent, they may not be aware that they're being cut. So something to consider, decision you're going to have to make, because you're the one that's going to have to live with it. Either way, it's a judgment call.